I think when you look at the history of Tallahassee baseball in itself, whether it's been Lincoln, whether it's been Leon, North Florida Christian, I mean, Meat played at McClay. I mean, there's just been a lot of history coming through Tallahassee. And I think everybody's going to look at it just because they're left-handed and they're both going to be on the same staff as, oh, there's a little pipeline there. And there's been a good little pipeline coming from the NFC. We've done a good job of, I think, keeping some of those guys local. Obviously, the draft has kind of hurt us on a few guys over the years. I mean, Cole Reagan's just off the top of my head, and I mean, Cole's brother Carson, a couple of other really good left-handers in the area. But I think it's really neat for the younger Tallahassee kids in the area, you know, the youth ball guys, to be able to see the guys that grew up in Tallahassee and perform at a high level here in the stadium, so that one day they want to, you know, dream of putting on that garnet gold. Because I think if you were to ask Tyler Holton, he could probably spit out a couple names growing up that he really enjoyed watching here at Florida State. And then, you know, really to put on that uniform was probably a dream come true, and probably had a lot to do with the reason that he's back here this year after turning down what he did as a draft-eligible sophomore.
I mean, obviously there are the obvious similarities between Tyler and Austin. How is Austin kind of different from Tyler from when he came in?
Very different. You know, the similarities, obviously, Lincoln High School, left-hander. Okay, well, it stops right then and there. It really does. They're two totally different personalities. They pitch totally different, and that's a good thing. You know, we want to have different looks and different, you know, angles and different types of pitchers on our staff. We don't want to be a cookie cut. So when you know you're coming to face us, you're getting one model or one role. You know, Tyler, you know, everybody knows he's got great feel for a plus changeup. The breaking ball got better last year, and he's just, the bigger the game, the bigger the moment. The second half of the year, whether it's freshman year or sophomore year, he's always stepped his game up, and he's just always looked like he's unfazed out there. Austin, who's very, I don't want to say new to pitching, but he's got a little less mileage on him. He's like a piece of clay that's just being molded right now, and he's just learning each and every day. He really took off the second half of his senior year. He'll probably tell you. I mean, it was all new to him, and it was a great run for them. I think it was 35 or 40 scoreless innings as they went on to win a high school state championship. But he'll tell you he's learning something each and every day here.
What have you seen from Cole? He talked about going more to a two-seamer, and what has that meant for his development?
Cole Sands, you know, when we think of your professional baseball pitchers, the guys that attack the zone, they pitch to contact, they're throwing against the wood bat. Cole's always had the ability, you know, to have feel for a changeup. The breaking ball, he'll tell you, kind of comes and goes at times, but he's a power guy that's going to attack the zone. He probably wishes he was facing some wood right now, the way he can allow the two-seam or the late movement or the late life with a two-seam at 92 to 94 miles an hour versus, you know, a straighter version of a four-seam fastball, which could be 93 to 95. It just allows some late movement through the zone. So now you're working off the barrel. You might be getting off the end of the bat. You might be getting inside the barrel, a jam shot or a capper. So, you know, his thoughts and our thoughts are, let's go ahead and attack the zone with the power stuff. Maybe we're not working as deep counts. We're not 2-2, 3-2 on a lot of hitters. I can last longer in the game, and I can maximize my outings.
Is that a maturity thing too? Like, not, you know, he grew up, I'm sure, striking out 12, 13 guys every time he went out there because he threw so hard. Is that a maturity thing too?
I think it's a maturity thing. I think it's a growth process and understanding our game of college baseball. The ACC is a very, very, and I'll say it again, very competitive league, if not the best league in the country. And it's not like a high school lineup where you're facing, oh, I know one guy in their lineup or two guys, I got to be careful. You're looking at 4 to 8 guys where you have to really go, okay, I got to make sure I'm zoning it in here. I got to know how I'm identifying their weaknesses, and I better execute. Because if I slip up 1 or 2 times, now I've got a couple guys on base with one of those 5 or 6 guys ready to do some damage. So it's prepared him for, I'll say, life after Florida State, and he's really worked hard this past off season. I think he's come back with a little chip on his shoulder. But also it's that maturation process, as you talked about. You know, we always kid about a start his freshman year against St. John's where, you know, he's just late covering first base or late backing up here or there because he was not used to, you know, I don't want to say getting beat up a little bit, but getting muddied, you know, having a little adversity. And it's good for them. It really is good because it makes them who they are as they're later on in their sophomore year or going into their junior year.
hurts to have so many of those veteran relievers that you would have had coming back. Looks like they're not going to be ready for opening day for one reason or another. The other side of that, I mean, you brought in so many arms this year who are new guys. What kind of opportunities does that provide for them to kind of show that what they've got and you find out who's ready?
Well, the key word you said is opportunity. And as a young prospect, that's what you're looking for when you're coming into a new program is, you know, everybody's looking at rosters nowadays, how many pitchers you got coming back, you know, how many starters you got coming back, and you're trying to fill roles, and guys are trying to wonder, where am I going to get my innings? And that's what it's provided. You know, you have an idea going into the year what things are going to look like. The season will determine that as we get going. Their roles will be defined based on how they perform, and once we get out there and get muddied up a little bit. But there's a lot of opportunity, and having the experience coming back in the bullpen is always nice, but at the end of the day, it's always nice to have guys that are hungry, wanting to earn some spots too. And I think that's what you're going to see with some of these young guys.
Also good because with this non-conference schedule, might be some more higher leverage situations than maybe in the past, especially for the young guys.
Well, I think with the non-conference schedule that I see nowadays, it goes back to the word parity. You know, when you're playing JU, USF, you're bringing Kansas in for a couple midweeks, UCF. These are 2 and 3 seeds in a lot of regionals. I think Florida Gulf Coast took North Carolina to the max last year, and, you know, as a 4 seed. Well, that's who we're playing in the non-conference schedule. I think Xavier, who we open up with, went to a final game against Louisville in a regional. They returned 6 or 7 out of their starting 9 and offensively. So they're going to be tested and tested early, and that's what you want. You want opportunities, you want tests. So as you get into conference, they're battle tested a little bit, and they can start defining roles.
Who were you kind of looking at closer, and what kind of things are you looking for in a closer?
Well, and that's a great question, because there's certain qualities that take on with that when you talk about durability, when you talk about being able to handle the fire, when you talk about the mental side of being able, whether it's a 3-run lead or a 1-run lead, or hey, it's a tie ball game and we can't give anything else up. I think it's going to be a day-by-day situation, and I don't think it's just a one-guy, you know, kind of show right here, right now, and that's okay, because I think it's another way for us to build depth. I can remember, I think it feels like yesterday, but it was 6.5, 7 years ago. Scotty Seitz was opening up as our closer. Robin Benacasa was not our closer, but by week 3, he was our closer. And when I say the game evolved, the game developed that. You know, Drew Carlton last year started out as our #1 starter. Everybody knows the story. Well, if you go back and look at the end of the year, how many games he factored in down the stretch, I think it was 10 out of the last 13 wins. You know, the game is going to evolve it. Our season is going to bring that out. You don't want a guy to be wasted because you don't have save opportunities early on. But honestly, you don't know when you're going to have those save opportunities. So it's going to have to be a day-by-day format. And honestly, it's like putting the best 9 in a lineup. We're just going to put our best foot forward and put guys in the best situations possible to be successful.
How does that happen when you guys have, and it's not exclusive obviously to Florida State, but coaches have so much years of experience and they've laid the table for how they want their staff to be, and then 3 weeks into the season, everything just kind of goes upside down?
Well, and that's the beautiful thing about our game of baseball. When you think you have it figured out, and he'll tell you, 39 years later, he's still learning something new every day in practice. If you let the game teach you, it will. Not to mention the game has evolved. The game has changed. You know, 1994, 95, you had 3 starters, maybe 4 starters, and 1 reliever that you really used. Now you have middle guys. You have matchup guys. You'd like to have 1 or 2 closers, but at the end of the day, he can't be the closer every day. And at the end of the day, really, what is it? Just getting the last out. Sometimes guys make it more than what it has to be.
Is it tough when you want to lay out that sort of routine and rigidity for the players, but then you have to realize that things are going to be fluid and can change, you know, day to day, week to week, especially this early in the season?
Our guys will tell you, I'm very OCD. I like schedules. I like things clean and neat. But I understand you have a plan, but you have to be flexible. And you have to understand that somebody else is going to have to step up, whether it's an injury, whether it's somebody needs a day off because they've been used 2 out of 3 games. So it goes into that next man up. It goes into what's our best scenario today, whether it's Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's more about preparing each and every guy and then using every day as a challenge.
How much Are you excited as an assistant? I mean, this year it's going to be a story for much of the season.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a story, but I think the thing that he's done a great job over the years, being a player that played for him, being a coach that coaches with him, it's not about him. He's more focused about the team, about what's on their chest, and more focused about them as the players, getting them off to a good start, putting last year's team behind us. They did great things, but this is a whole new challenge, a whole new chapter. We'll enjoy the journey, we'll embrace it, and we'll reflect on it later in life. But he's going to make it about the players and about the team. It's not about him.
Let's go one more.
Okay.
Coach Bell.
We good?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.